The dense jungles of Vietnam echoed with the sounds of war. Helicopters roared overhead, while soldiers navigated through the treacherous terrain. Amidst this chaos, a shocking event unfolded, one that would alter the course of history. France, America's supposed ally, made a clandestine move that changed the dynamics of the Vietnam War. This wasn't just a tactical error, but a calculated betrayal, a knife in the back of an ally embroiled in a desperate fight against communism. As the French government secretly maneuvered behind the scenes, their actions left American officials in disbelief. What drove France to such a bold and unexpected betrayal? And how did this decision reshape the geopolitical landscape? This is the story of how France's covert actions in Vietnam turned a war into a quagmire and fractured a key alliance. As the Vietnam War raged on, tensions between the United States and France began to simmer beneath the surface. Initially, France had maintained a colonial presence in Vietnam, a remnant of its fading empire. However, the rise of Vietnamese nationalism and the First Indochina War had forced France to relinquish control. Despite this, France remained deeply interested in the region's future and wary of American influence. As the U.S. escalated its involvement in Vietnam, France quietly harbored doubts about the American strategy. French diplomats, while publicly supportive, whispered their concerns in private meetings. The tension was palpable, a silent storm brewing between the two allies. What would happen if these tensions reached a boiling point? Would France stand by its ally, or would it choose its own path? These questions loomed as the war dragged on, setting the stage for an unexpected turn of events. The Vietnam War escalated rapidly, drawing the United States deeper into a conflict that seemed increasingly unwinnable. American troops flooded into Vietnam, engaging in fierce battles with the North Vietnamese and Viet Cong. Amidst this chaos, France's actions took a surprising turn. While publicly supporting the U.S., France began to secretly negotiate with North Vietnam. French diplomats initiated back-channel communications, seeking to broker a peace deal that excluded American interests. This clandestine diplomacy was a gamble, aiming to secure French influence in a post-war Vietnam. However, it also risked alienating Paris from Washington. As these secret negotiations unfolded, the stakes grew higher. Would France's covert actions undermine America's war efforts? How would the U.S. respond if these talks were exposed? The answers to these questions would determine the future of the alliance and the fate of Vietnam. In the midst of the escalating crisis, the key players emerged on the global stage. President Lyndon B. Johnson, determined to prevent the spread of communism, committed more American resources and troops to Vietnam. Meanwhile, French President Charles de Gaulle, a staunch advocate for French independence in foreign policy, pursued his own agenda. De Gaulle's vision for France was one of a strong, independent nation capable of influencing global affairs without relying on American support. This vision often put him at odds with U.S. policy. In Vietnam, Ho Chi Minh and the North Vietnamese leadership were determined to reunify the country under communist rule. In contrast, South Vietnam, supported by the U.S., fought to maintain its independence. As these leaders navigated the complex web of alliances and conflicts, their decisions would shape the fate of Vietnam and the broader Cold War dynamics. As the Vietnam War dragged on, an unexpected twist emerged, shifting the narrative of the conflict. Despite the apparent alliance between the United States and France, documents revealed that France had been in direct communication with Hanoi, the capital of North Vietnam. French diplomats, under the guise of humanitarian efforts, had been negotiating with North Vietnamese officials. This revelation shocked the American administration, which had relied on France as a key ally in the fight against communism. The unexpected twist raised questions about France's true intentions and its commitment to the Western alliance. Was France genuinely seeking peace, or were they positioning themselves as a dominant influence in post-war Vietnam? The discovery of these secret communications added a layer of complexity to the already intricate geopolitical landscape, leaving the world questioning the true nature of alliances. The revelation of France's secret negotiations with North Vietnam sent shockwaves through the corridors of power in Washington. The United States had counted on France as a steadfast ally in the fight against communism. Yet this newfound knowledge called into question the very foundations of their alliance. American officials scrambled to reassess their strategy in Vietnam, realizing that they could no longer rely on French support. Meanwhile, France defended its actions, claiming that their diplomatic efforts were aimed at bringing about peace and stability. However, the damage was done. Trust between the two nations was severely eroded, and the alliance that once stood strong now seemed fragile and tenuous. The foundations of Western unity were shaken, leaving both nations to navigate an uncertain path forward. The central mystery at the heart of this geopolitical drama revolves around France's motivations. Why did France, a nation once so deeply embedded in the Western alliance, choose to navigate its own course in Vietnam? Was it sheer opportunism, a bid for post-colonial influence, or simply a strategic miscalculation? The answers are complex and rooted in France's desire to reassert its role as a global power. Under the leadership of Charles de Gaulle, France sought to distance itself from American hegemony and pursue an independent foreign policy. This often meant taking positions that contradicted U.S. interests, especially in regions where France had historical ties. The mystery of France's actions in Vietnam remains a subject of debate among historians and political analysts, and it serves as a poignant reminder of the intricate dance of international relations. To understand France's actions in Vietnam, we must delve into the historical context of the region. The roots of the conflict trace back to the colonial era when France established its dominion over Indochina in the late 19th century. For decades, Vietnam was under French colonial rule, a period marked by economic exploitation and cultural suppression. However, the emergence of the nationalist movement, led by figures like Ho Chi Minh, challenged French authority and eventually led to the First Indochina War. Despite France's military efforts, they were unable to quell the Vietnamese desire for independence. The Geneva Accords of 1954 marked the end of French colonial rule, dividing Vietnam along the 17th parallel. Yet, the legacy of colonialism lingered, influencing France's subsequent involvement in Vietnam and its complex relationship with the United States during the Vietnam War. The origins of the Vietnam conflict are deeply entwined with the Cold War dynamics of the mid-20th century. Following the division of Vietnam in 1954, the geopolitical landscape was marked by a fierce ideological battle between communism and capitalism. The North, led by Ho Chi Minh, received backing from the Soviet Union and China, while the South was supported by the United States and its Western allies. This divide turned Vietnam into a proxy battleground where global superpowers tested their influence. France, having withdrawn its colonial presence, found itself in a precarious position. While America aimed to contain communism, France struggled with its own post-colonial identity and strategic interests. The conflict's origins were not merely about territorial disputes, but were emblematic of the broader ideological struggle that defined the era. This complex backdrop set the stage for France's controversial actions during the Vietnam War. On the surface, the alliance between the United States and France during the Vietnam War appeared strong and unified. Yet, beneath this facade lay deep-seated tensions and conflicting interests. America's military might and economic resources painted a picture of an unstoppable force committed to containing communism at all costs. However, France, grappling with its diminished global influence, sought to redefine its role on the world stage. French leaders, particularly under Charles de Gaulle, envisioned a foreign policy that was independent of American direction. This divergence in strategic goals created an illusion of strength in the alliance, masking underlying fractures. As the Vietnam War progressed, these fractures widened, revealing the fragile nature of the partnership. The illusion of strength ultimately gave way to a reality of discord, challenging the notion of Western unity in the face of global challenges. As the Vietnam War escalated, a series of undetected flaws in the Franco-American alliance began to surface. France, still nursing the wounds from its own defeat in Indochina, held a deep-seated mistrust towards American military strategies. These concealed tensions were exacerbated by divergent goals. While America sought to stem the tide of communism, France was more concerned with reasserting its influence in Southeast Asia. Beneath the facade of cooperation, these differences undermined the effectiveness of their joint efforts. Intelligence reports were inconsistently shared, and strategic decisions often clashed, leaving American forces without crucial support. These weaknesses were not just tactical but also ideological, as France's hesitance to fully back American involvement revealed a chasm in mutual understanding. This hidden discord would later become a critical factor in the unfolding crisis, casting doubt on the alliance's strength and foreshadowing the challenges that lay ahead. In the years leading to the Vietnam War, subtle indicators hinted at the impending discord between France and America. Diplomatic cables from Paris revealed growing skepticism towards American intentions in Southeast Asia. French officials privately expressed concerns about the aggressive military buildup and the potential for escalating conflict. Meanwhile, in Washington, leaders underestimated the complexity of Vietnam's colonial history and the deep-rooted French interest in the region. These early warning signs were often dismissed as minor disagreements, overshadowed by the broader Cold War context. However, they were harbingers of a larger rift that would later manifest in tangible disagreements on the ground. As the war progressed, these neglected signals became increasingly evident, leaving both nations scrambling to patch a fractured alliance amid rising tensions. As the Vietnam War dragged on, the tension between France and America grew palpable. Behind closed doors, French leaders debated the wisdom of America's protracted military engagement. Publicly, they maintained a facade of support, but privately, doubts festered. French diplomats warned of the quagmire that Vietnam represented, drawing parallels to their own disastrous experience. Meanwhile, American officials, confident in their superior military capabilities, pushed forward, dismissing French concerns as outdated. This mounting suspense reached a crescendo when conflicting strategies began to surface during joint military operations, leading to operational failures and mounting casualties. The alliance was visibly strained, and the world watched as these two powers grappled with diverging paths in a war that seemed increasingly unwinnable. The culmination of tension occurred during a critical moment in the Vietnam War when a joint operation was set to strike a decisive blow against North Vietnamese forces. However, at the last minute, French logistical support faltered, citing unforeseen complications. This left American troops exposed, resulting in a catastrophic defeat that shook the confidence of the alliance. The incident highlighted the deep-seated mistrust and lack of coordination that had been festering beneath the surface. For America, this was a rude awakening to the fragility of its alliances and the harsh realities of war. For France, it was a grim reminder of its past failures in Indochina. The moment marked a turning point, forcing both nations to reconsider their strategies and objectives in a war that seemed increasingly beyond control. In the aftermath of the failed operation, both France and America were forced to reevaluate their strategic positions. The French government, wary of further entanglement, leaned towards minimizing its involvement, focusing instead on diplomatic channels to maintain influence. Meanwhile, the United States, undeterred by the setback, doubled down on its military commitment, determined to achieve a decisive victory. These strategic calculations were influenced by domestic pressures and international expectations. France, still reeling from its colonial past, was cautious of overextending itself once more. In contrast, America, driven by Cold War imperatives, saw Vietnam as a crucial battleground against communism. These differing priorities highlighted the divergent paths both nations chose, setting the stage for future confrontations and a re-evaluation of their roles on the global stage. Behind the emotional narratives of betrayal and failure lay the cold logic of international politics. For France, the decision to pull back was driven by a pragmatic assessment of its own national interests. The memories of Dien Bien Phu still haunted French policymakers, making them wary of another quagmire. On the other hand, the United States viewed its involvement through the lens of containment, a doctrine that dictated aggressive action to prevent the spread of communism. This logical calculus, while devoid of sentiment, underscored the harsh realities of geopolitical strategy, where national interest often trumps alliance commitments. As both nations pursued their own paths, the dynamics of their relationship shifted, revealing the underlying tensions that had long been simmering beneath the surface. The strain in the Franco-American alliance had profound global implications.
As the Vietnam War dragged on, it became emblematic of the larger ideological struggle between East and West. The visible fractures in the alliance emboldened communist movements worldwide, who saw the discord as a sign of Western weakness. This perception fueled insurgencies in other regions, challenging the influence of both America and its allies. Moreover, the strained relations prompted other Western nations to reconsider their own alliances, wary of potential betrayals. The Cold War dynamics shifted as countries like the Soviet Union capitalized on these divisions, strengthening their foothold in strategically important regions. The Vietnam War, thus, became a microcosm of a larger geopolitical chessboard, with every move by France and America being closely scrutinized by the world.
The unraveling of the Franco-American alliance in Vietnam set off a chain reaction that altered global power dynamics. As America reeled from its losses, it prompted a re-evaluation of its foreign policy, moving towards détente with the Soviet Union. This shift was mirrored by France's own pivot towards non-alignment, seeking to assert its independence from American influence. These changing dynamics were not confined to Western powers. They rippled across the globe, influencing the policies of emerging nations. Countries in Asia, Africa, and Latin America began to assert their own paths, navigating between the superpowers with newfound confidence. The Vietnam War, therefore, not only reshaped the immediate geopolitical landscape, but also paved the way for a multipolar world order, where power was more diffusely distributed.
The Vietnam War taught a profound strategic lesson. Alliances must be built on a foundation of mutual understanding and shared objectives. The Franco-American discord highlighted the dangers of alliances founded on convenience rather than conviction. As nations maneuvered through the complexities of Cold War geopolitics, the importance of aligning strategic interests became abundantly clear. The war underscored that military might alone is insufficient to secure victory. It must be accompanied by cohesive diplomacy and clear communication. This lesson reverberated through subsequent conflicts, prompting countries to reevaluate the nature and terms of their alliances. In the end, the Vietnam conflict served as a stark reminder of the fragility of international partnerships and the need for strategic coherence in the face of global challenges.
The story of France and America's discord in Vietnam offers deeper insights into the nature of power and geopolitics. It reveals the complexities of balancing national interests with international responsibilities. In a world where alliances are often fluid, the Vietnam War reminds us that strategic partnerships require more than just shared enemies. They demand shared visions. As we reflect on this historical episode, it becomes evident that the true measure of a successful alliance lies not in its military strength, but in its ability to adapt to changing circumstances. The lessons learned from this period continue to inform contemporary geopolitics, emphasizing the need for flexible, resilient partnerships that can withstand the test of time. As we analyze the complex layers of the Vietnam War, the nuanced role of France emerges as a pivotal element. The French had a long-standing colonial history in Vietnam, and their withdrawal left a vacuum that the United States felt compelled to fill. But beneath the surface, there were subtle maneuvers and diplomatic shifts that indicated France's reluctance to support America's escalating involvement. The French government, while publicly aligning with their NATO ally, often pursued its own agenda, shaped by the ghosts of its colonial past and the desire to retain influence in Southeast Asia. This duality created a discord that many historians argue contributed significantly to the challenges faced by the U.S. in Vietnam. The betrayal was not overt, but rather a series of small strategic decisions that cumulatively undermined the American effort. Reflecting on this, we must question how alliances are formed and fractured, and the hidden motives that drive geopolitical strategies. The story of France's role in the Vietnam War serves as a profound reminder of the complexity of international relations. It challenges us to consider the nature of alliances and the often hidden agendas that underpin them. In the realm of geopolitics, nothing is ever as it seems. Nations act not just in pursuit of shared goals, but also in response to their own historical, cultural, and strategic imperatives.
France's actions in Vietnam illustrate how a nation can simultaneously be a friend and a foe, driven by its own interests rather than those of its ally. This philosophical reflection prompts us to question the very fabric of alliances. Are they truly based on mutual benefit, or are they precarious constructs subject to the whims of individual national interests? In the end, this tale is a testament to the unpredictable nature of global politics, where yesterday's ally can become tomorrow's adversary.
The Vietnam War's impact on U.S.-French relations was profound and enduring. The subtle yet significant actions of France during the conflict left a legacy of mistrust and caution between the two nations. This period marked a shift in how America viewed its European allies, encouraging a more scrutinized approach to alliances. The war also influenced global perceptions of both countries, casting France in a light of opportunism and America as a superpower facing the limits of its influence. These perceptions affected diplomatic strategies for decades to come, with both nations reassessing their roles on the international stage. The war's legacy continues to echo in contemporary geopolitics, reminding us of the fragile nature of alliances and the ever-present specter of betrayal. As history unfolds, the lessons from Vietnam remain relevant, teaching us about the unpredictable dynamics of power and the enduring impact of historical events. As we peel back the layers of history, the truths about France's role in the Vietnam War become clearer. The initial perception of a steadfast ally was gradually replaced by the reality of a nation acting in its own interest. France's decisions, influenced by its colonial past and desire for autonomy, often contradicted the expectations of the United States. These contradictions were not just political but also strategic, impacting military operations and diplomatic relations. The unraveling of these truths sheds light on the complexity of international alliances, where the lines between collaboration and competition blur. This revelation challenges the simplistic narratives often associated with wartime alliances, and compels us to reconsider how we view historical partnerships. By understanding these dynamics, we gain insights into the broader geopolitical landscape and the intricate dance of diplomacy that continues to shape our world. The ultimate revelations about France's actions during the Vietnam War challenge us to rethink the narratives we have been told. As more archival documents become accessible, we see a clearer picture of France's calculated moves to maintain its influence while avoiding direct involvement. These revelations underscore the importance of the multifaceted nature of international relations, where nations often pursue parallel agendas. France's strategic decisions were a reminder of the complex interplay between national interests and alliance obligations. This understanding not only enriches our comprehension of past events, but also informs future diplomatic engagements. The final insights offer a nuanced perspective on how historical narratives are shaped, highlighting the need for continuous scrutiny and reevaluation. In the end, the story of France and the Vietnam War serves as a cautionary tale about the unpredictable nature of global politics and the enduring quest for power and influence. In closing, the story of France's betrayal during the Vietnam War highlights the intricate web of geopolitical strategy. It serves as a reminder that international alliances are often fraught with complexity and hidden motives. The historical events we have explored reveal how national interests can diverge even among supposed allies, leading to outcomes that defy simplistic narratives. As we reflect on these lessons, we must remain vigilant in our understanding of global politics and the continuous evolution of alliances. The Vietnam War was not just a battle of ideologies, but also a testament to the nuanced dance of diplomacy and power. As we move forward, let us carry these insights into the future, where the lessons of history can guide us in navigating the uncertain waters of international relations. Thank you for joining us on this journey through time and geopolitics. As the credits roll, we reflect on the collaborative efforts that brought this documentary to life. The meticulous research, the compelling storytelling, and the visual artistry combine to present a narrative that challenges conventional wisdom and invites deeper reflection. Each contributor,
from historians and political analysts to filmmakers and graphic designers, played a pivotal role in crafting a story that is as insightful as it is engaging. This documentary is a testament to the power of collective knowledge and the importance of revisiting historical events with fresh perspectives. We hope it has sparked new insights and encouraged a deeper understanding of the complexities of global politics. Thank you for watching and being a part of this exploration.
If you found this perspective valuable, consider subscribing. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I read every one of them. Thank you for watching.